All right, welcome back, everybody, for my version of Hidden Gems, but for video games. I had a lot of fun doing that first one, and I got a second one all ready to go. I've been working with JJ trying to formulate a new list for from upcoming shows that we can do for this as well. But hopefully, you guys are digging this. Let me know what you think in the comment section because I kind of think this is kind of fun, and this is something I think that would benefit everyone. As a collector, don't want to just be so narrowly focused into one thing sometimes, because sometimes you end up in a place where you find stuff that's a little bit more off the beaten path, and sometimes you might find yourself in front of a bunch of loose video games, and it can't hurt to have some sense of what video games might be worth a couple of bucks is if you can remember them. Like, again, you may not remember everything, but if I can help you add a few things to your mental Rolodex, then I feel like I've done my job. So, hopefully you're enjoying this as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. Check out the memberships where I'm dropping some members-only videos now and hopefully continue to do it going forward. We're going to do a little special hangout before the tax show tomorrow for members who are interested. And yeah, just having a lot of fun doing this stuff. So hopefully you guys are having fun. Hopefully you're still digging the content and hopefully you're checking out the shorts. And if you want to see what hidden gem type video games I've got for you this week in this week's Gaming Gold, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so I got a whole nother pile of video games to talk about for you this week. I'm going to try to spread it around, try to hit up a bunch of different things if I can, and just give you a few options of some things you can find just laying around out there at flea market, Goodwill, yard sales, wherever you might find this stuff. Granted, GameStops even. You might even find some of this stuff at a GameStop. Who knows? Who knows where you might find your games? But this is my version of some video game hidden gems that we're calling Gaming Gold. So go dig for some gold out there in those loose video games and see what you might find. Now, one of my favorite games for the old Nintendo Entertainment System, the first NES, was DuckTales. And granted, DuckTales isn't that hard to find and won't fetch you that much. Yeah, I think you probably get like 15, 20 bucks if you can find a loose version of DuckTales if you find it. But did you know that the sequel, DuckTales 2, is a little bit tougher? It's a little bit tougher for you to find. So this is one you might want to keep an eye out for when you're out there digging. Because the sequel game for DuckTales 4 still in the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, this will fetch you $207 on average for a loose video game. This is, again, I don't want to make sure you don't have to find the box. You might not even need the instructions. This is just loose averages. Again, check the prices. Go look on eBay and all that stuff. If you don't believe me, these are the average prices for a lot of these loose video games. So you don't need to have them graded. They don't need to be graded by WATA or whatever. They don't have to be in the box. These are things that'll still get you some bucks if you find them even loose. So just remember them. But in case you were curious and you wanted to know what the DuckTales 2 box looks like, well, I'm going to show you that too, just because I think it's cool to know. And good luck. If you find the box, awesome. Get that too. Sticking with Disney. Sticking with Disney and sticking with sequels and sequels for video games. I really enjoyed the animated movie we just got for Chip and Dale, and I don't remember playing the video game much, nor do I remember the sequel, which is probably why it's worth looking for, because it's probably just one of those tougher things to find, because I don't remember this one. I don't remember Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2, let alone the first. I think I played the first game, but again, memory gets hazy. It wasn't a standout for me in any way as a kid, so maybe that's why I don't remember it. But as I mentioned, I don't think it's because of the movie in any way, but I think the movie's another little side aspect to this. Keeps, Chip and Dale in the forefront of people's minds or back in their minds, especially when we get a sequel movie. But this game will fetch you a decent amount if you can find a loose Chip and Dale 2 NES cartridge. 350 bucks. Yes, $350 raw or loose, whatever you want to call it, an open game cartridge. I think as long as it's working. Just watch out for those reproductions. Again, some people do reproductions for these cartridge type games, and a lot of them sell them that way. But then when you find something out in the wild, I guess it could be tougher. Just keep that in mind when you're pulling out your wallet. If you don't know, just don't risk it. If you're not sure, I would say be more wary. if you don't know, because I don't know. I'm not an expert. This is just stuff I think is interesting and fascinating. So that's why I'm sharing it. I'm not a video game expert in any way. I'm not a video game collector in this way either. I find it fascinating, like I said, and just something I was digging into and looking into and thought it was worth sharing some of this information as I was coming across it with you guys. So hopefully appreciate that. And if you want to see the box, Chip and Dale 2, pretty cool. Brings back a lot of memories. Those little, little cardboard boxes that the NES games would come in, and then you just had the manual and you had the game. That was it. They came in their little plastic sleeves, and you were off and playing. Now, JJ had told me not to put this one in here. Mostly because most of the video game collectors out there know this game, and they know that it's tough to find. They're already hunting for it. So you'll have a hard time. Some of these are going to be hard to find. Like, it's just, most of these will be hard to find. That's why they're expensive. But the point being, some of these might be well known to a lot of gamers out there. And this one is one of them. Earthbound. I even knew about this game. It's just one of those things you hear in conversations from people who know more than me and know video games more than me. I kept hearing is Earthbound. I don't think I've ever played Earthbound, but video game players and video game collectors, they know this game. So he's like, don't bother putting that in there. But I know a lot of you people are here mostly for the comics and maybe a little bit for the toys and for the Star Wars. You don't know a lot about video games, and maybe you was like me are just a little more interested. So I wanted to tell you still about Earthbound so you knew about it. You were aware of it. So these are just some average sale prices and things, but this I think I've seen them go for a little bit more than what the average is. But keep an eye out for Earthbound Super Nintendo system this time, because $247 loose on average for this. And this is what the box looked like. In case you're curious, this is what the box looks like for Earthbound. Again, a lot of the game collectors already know this one, so just like Hidden Gems, you guys might know a lot of the comics I'm already talking about, but hopefully I have something else here that you didn't know about. So there's a little something for everybody. For the newbies, the old hands, and the old veterans at this, hopefully there's something for everybody. That said, I'm going to go with another Super Nintendo game next. This one I actually enjoyed. I played this one a bit. I enjoyed Harvest Moon. I don't know. This is a precursor to a lot of those farming games that we get now. Harvest Moon was there, and there's just something calming about it. I don't know, like playing some of those games, it seems like work, but you just something about it. You just feel like a sense of accomplishment when you get things done, and you just one step to the next step to the next step to the next step, and you just keep rolling. Now, Harvest Moon will get you a good chunk of change if you can find a loose Super Nintendo cartridge. $420. $420 for a loose Super Nintendo game. This is what I'm talking about. It's worth looking for. It doesn't take much of your time to go flip through and go, what is this? What is this? What is this? Nope. That's not it. Okay, I'll move on. But keep an eye out for it. And here's the box in case you're curious. Harvest Moon. Like I said, it was fun. I played that quite a bit, actually. Wish I still had it. I'm going to get myself $420. This next one is one I don't remember playing. It doesn't look familiar to me, but I probably would have been into it because it's got kind of a cool samurai ninja kind of vibe thing going, and I'm a big Ninja Gaiden fan, and I like samurais. I would have been into this. I don't even know if I'm going to say this properly. I think it's Hagane. It's Hagane. Hagane. Not an easy one to find at all. Hudson Soft game. Super Nintendo system. I know I do a lot of Super Nintendo, but that's because of where I started. I started with my research for these video game things with Super Nintendo and kind of really got into the weeds there. So that's why I have a lot of Super Nintendo heavy to start. But we're going to hit up all different types of systems. Jaguars, 3DOs, what do you call it? The Mega Drive, 32X for the Sega, Dreamcast, N64. Well, not so much the game. Once we get to the later, there's not as much when you start getting into like the later PlayStation. But we have PlayStation 1, we have some PlayStation 2, we have original Xbox. Again, plenty of stuff to do, plenty of stuff to cover. So, like I said, hopefully you're enjoying this because we got a lot more coming. JJ's giving me a lot of good stuff. But with this game, definitely would keep an eye out for it because it's almost $1,000 loose, averaging $994. $1,000 loose for this game. Good luck. Here's the box. Like I said, I think it's the Final Conflict. Hagane. I don't know how it's pronounced, but there you go. Super Nintendo. Another one to look out for. I know that was 3 Super Nintendos, 2 Nintendos. Nintendo heavy to start. We're going to move away from Nintendo. We're going to go on over to the Sega Genesis for our next one. I was talking about that mech stuff on Hidden Gems last night. Kind of carries through here. for this Sega Genesis game. This is it Mushu? I think if I'm Mushu, I don't even know if I remember if I'm getting this saying this one properly. It's not even on the cartridge. The game. I was leaning on the fact that I could look over it and see the name, and it's not even there. I'm pretty sure it's like Musha, like Musha. But this Sega Genesis game, $332 on average. $332 for this Musha. Musha, that's what it is. There it is, because now I got the cover box coming your way next. But loose, this is over $300. So flip through those cartridges. Look at those carts. See what's there. You never know. I know most of them aren't worth anything, but there are a few gems. There's some gold to be had. Musha, there it is. Metallic Uniframe Super Hybrid Armor. That's what it's called. There you go. Musha. Pretty cool. Now, I mentioned we're going to be doing some of these other systems. So there's Sega Genesis. Let's go on over to the Dreamcast. Didn't last for that long. I didn't have one. I borrowed one when I worked at Blockbuster for a little while and got to play some Dreamcast games through that, like some Crazy Taxi. Was it Panzer Dragon? Was that Dragon one? I remember playing that one for a little bit. But here's one. Keep an eye out for discs. And these are sometimes some of these disc games. These could be all kinds of loose and lost and mixed up. Who knows where you are? You don't even know what system they are. Sometimes they could just be in a CD case by itself, no instructions or anything. So you just keep an eye out for it. But Marvel versus Capcom 2. As comic collectors, you probably know Marvel. You should know Capcom because Mega Man and a lot of good stuff came out of Capcom. But for the Dreamcast, this game, this disc, loose on its own. I mean, hopefully it's not scratched up or anything, but almost $120. Not bad just for a random disc that you might find out there. And granted, you might find the case. If you find the case, it looks like this. So you get a little, you got Guile, you got Psylocke. Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Pretty cool. Pretty fun looking game. It's been following that kind of Street Fighter kind of thing. But you get the idea. But just look for the disc. Loose disc, $120. Just saying. Got another disc for you to keep an eye out for. This one is for the first PlayStation. So the original PlayStation, it's Batman Forever, the arcade game. So, I know, might not have been the best Batman movie, but it was what it was. Val Kilmer did a serviceable job. I know some people are big fans of his rendition, but I thought he a little overacted as Bruce Wayne a little bit, and I don't know. Just still wasn't there. Much like the Fox X-Men movies. They were close, but they just didn't quite get the Batman that I wanted through most of those movies. But that all said, if you find this Batman Forever PlayStation 1 game loose, it's about $130. So keep an eye out for it. And if you get lucky and you find the case, you can get even more. Because here you go. Here's the case. And remember, the PlayStation game, little CD cases, sometimes like the manual was right there. So it was the front, like it was the cover, it was the manual. Apart from if it was in the case. But anyway, we're going to move on from PlayStation. Going back to Nintendo. Not the regular Nintendo, not Super Nintendo. We're going to go hit up the Game Boy. Yep, hitting up Game Boy. With this oddball game, The Amazing Tater. I don't know much about this game. I wasn't a big Game Boy player. The handheld just really wasn't for me at the time. But, I played my fair share, playing some of them Pokemon and whatnot. But this Game Boy game, Amazing Tater, which I think is based off of something like Puzzle Boy or something like that. Not easy to find and very, very expensive if you can find. And again, Game Boy cartridges are like this. They're little. They're little games. So easy to get lost, but easy to kind of sort through. Just kind of dig through and look for this little potato dude. And if you find this little potato dude, over $700 for the Amazing Tater. Average sales, loose, $731. So it's worth your time. Just if in case you see a little handful of Game Boy games, just check out. Look for the Tater. Look for the Amazing Tater. You never know what you might find out there. Now, as we've done, on all our episodes, our one lone episode before, we finished up with another game. And we're going to do the same here. And that game is going to be tougher. That game is going to be a ghost. So much like Chasing Ghosts, much like the regular version of this is Hidden Gems, but for video games, I also figured I'd add a little bit of a Chasing Ghosts aspect as well but for video games. And this one is a JJ recommendation. And this one is not easy to find, I'll tell you, because it was just for the system. It just wasn't a very popular system to begin with. And the game we're talking about is The Amazing Spider-Man Web of Fire for Sega 32X. Again, I wasn't a Sega guy, so I don't know a lot about the Sega systems because I was more of a Nintendo kid growing up. But as JJ gave me some notes to save me some time on my research, he told me the reason this game is so hard to find is because the Spider-Man Web of Fire is rare because it was the final release for the Sega 32X Genesis add-on. So for that little add-on to the system that they kind of tweaked up, because remember, the Sega Genesis was a 16-bit like the Super Nintendo system was. So this was like that upscaling of the game, and this was the final release for it. So it was actually released a couple of months after Sega said they were dropping support for the system altogether. So you got to imagine a lot of people at that time are going, "What? Well, they're not going to throw money out at this because it's it's not long for this world. They're going to be ending it. So we're going to be getting something else." So a lot of people didn't go and pick this up. But if you do manage to come across one of these little hidden ghost, little hidden gem type things, this hard to find, impossible to find type video game cartridge, again, loose, $735. It's not too bad of a return, and you might even be able to get more than that because, like I said, this thing ain't easy. It ain't easy to find. But if you want to know what the box looks like, it also looks like this. Pretty cool Spidey. But like I said, 32X, I didn't have it, didn't really play much on it. I think my neighbor might have had it because most of the Genesis I played was on my neighbor's house. I don't remember the 32X well, but I think I do remember like that little thing that they had to click into the Genesis to make it to add on, like was that the Mega Drive? I don't know. I get a lot of these things confused, but that's why I go back and do this research and look into this stuff because I find it fascinating and it brings back a lot of memories. Hopefully it does for you as well, and hopefully you find this interesting. Hopefully you find some of these games out there now that I'll let you know which ones to go and find. But that's all I got for you this week. Try to cover 10. Try to cover 10 games, one of them being a ghost. And that's all I got. So game over. Until next time, I don't know. I'll see you guys soon with some more content, all right? Including Chasing Ghosts later tonight. All right? Later.